All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Oil Stream. Dusty and Tommy Gazzola with you. Full series preview, Oilers and Dallas Stars right now. If you're watching on YouTube, let's hammer the thumbs up. Let's get your comments in, your official predictions for this series. If you're listening on TuneIn or iHeart or at EdmontonSportsTalk.com, of course, you can text us. Text line gets moving pretty good here in the noon hour for Oil Stream and two guys. So 780-218-9999 is where you can join us today. As always, the Oil Stream presented to you by Boston Pizza. That playoff menu is cooking right now, featuring the halftime square footer, flight of wings, triple play platter, and the new Chipotle chicken quesadillas. Fuel your fandom at Boston Pizza. Tommy Gazzola, what's up, buddy?
Hi, Dusty. Not much. I'm just updating and posting the rink report with Brett Kulak. So,
that'll be a good one.
Typing away. Yeah, he's really good.
You know, I thought I heard you pounding away at the keyboard before we came on. So
I am. I've also got my assistant Penny here, who she's knocked out. She's sleeping like an angel. I fed her well today. That's
what happens. You feed a puppy and they go to sleep. That's it. That's the rule. Is it?
Yeah, they usually take a poo somewhere.
How old is she now? How old is she right now?
She's a year and a half.
Yeah,
so
okay.
She's not a puppy anymore, but she acts like a baby still.
All right, 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999, Edmonton Oilers and Dallas Stars. Let's start with the rink today. Tommy Gazzola, you were down there for the skate before they take off and head to Dallas for game one of round three. What is the latest? What was the news at the rink today?
I think just what we saw from Adam Henrique, and I posted a video about him on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called nowadays, and he looks like he's getting much closer. And then prior to the skate, I was told expect to see him in this series. Obviously, they're going to reevaluate him and in his lower body injury, probably ankle, and we could see him back in action, which is good because that adds some depth to the lineup, experience as well. Yeah, so many things. Maybe it takes a load off of Ryan McLeod, who had a few blips when it came to his overall game. He hasn't shown up, obviously offensively for the Oilers in the postseason. But a guy like Henrique kind of pushes some guys down, and that's a good add when he's ready to go. And I know they got him back into that game in the Vancouver series, but Dusty, it was pretty evident he wasn't ready to go, and whatever was ailing him continued to bother him, but he looked like he had some jump in his step, and it looks like he's going to be ready to play at some point, I'm guessing, in the next couple games here.
All right. So, the easy question here is we'll just stick with this as we continue. And as Tommy mentioned, he'll have a rink report with Kulak a little bit later on. Zacticum's going to grab any availabilities. We might get to that here as we start to get you set for the Oilers and the Dallas Stars. I have to ask, Tommy, who comes out if Henrique's good to go in game 2 or game 3, do you think?
I can tell you what I think the popular answer from our audience would be.
That would be Ryan McLeod. Everybody's freaking out stuff. But I said this morning, I was like, it's not happening. Chris Knobloch is not taking Ryan McLeod. 0 points. Hasn't scored since, March. Hasn't had an assist since April. But he's not coming out of the lineup. They're not going to take.
No.
I would be stunned. So it could be Derek Ryan. Could be Carrick. It could be Brown. Those are really the three options. What do you think it ends up being? How do they? They're going to get him back in.
Yeah.
So how do they go about doing it?
I would probably put the best chance of being taken out on Carrick or Brown, and good on Carrick for the last couple of games and adding some physicality, some much needed physicality that the Oilers took advantage of and utilized well. But him and Brown, I think, are the two obvious choices. Derek Ryan has played well. Maybe Ryan sits. I think that would be the third possibility in this situation, depending on where they want to play Henrique. But those are probably your leading candidates. And, it's the guys that don't have a lot of special teams time that usually get yanked out. And honestly, Dusty, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Corey Perry back in action at some point soon.
I was wondering, what do you think won't be game 1. So what do you think? Is it they drop a couple and then you get Corey Perry back in? If they're winning, I don't think you're going to touch the lineup. You would get Henrique back in, obviously, when he's ready to go. But what would be required, I guess, for Perry to slide back in, do you think?
I don't agree that if they win, he's necessarily not going to get back in or he stays out and they just roll with the same lineup. I understand full well and respect winning you keep.
Are we
things
talking
the
Perry
same.
or Henrique right now?
We're talking Perry, right?
Okay, yeah, we're talking Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure,
Yeah.
Henrique gets in whenever he's ready.
Absolutely.
But I'll say if they're winning, I wouldn't put Corey Perry back in. Like if they go up 2-0 in this series, I'm not putting Corey Perry in for Game 3. I guess
how quickly we've turned on Corey Perry now. There's another one.
No, I mean if they lose and they want to insert Corey Perry, I'm not going to be opposed to it. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying, if they're winning, I don't see why you would put Corey Perry into the lineup. I guess.
Well, yeah, no, I get that, but I mean it's circumstantial. I think depending on the type of game, if they think Perry provides something that a guy like Ryan or Brown cannot against the Dallas Stars, who are a different team than the Vancouver Canucks, then even if they win, I think that there's a chance that we could see Corey Perry. But it all depends on how that first game goes or what they think the Stars present as a challenge. I don't know if they're necessarily going to stick with the same lineup that got the win in Game 6 and Game 7. I think that they might reevaluate and go from there. And I think that might involve a guy like Corey Perry and his experience. And obviously Adam Henrique, who had a very strong year and has had an impact in his time as a member of the Oilers. So I don't know. We heard the players talk about, we heard the coaches talk about momentum doesn't, continue game to game and certainly doesn't continue series to series. So I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Perry played Game 1 because they want to try something different against Dallas. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I think that the game plan is different against the Dallas Stars than it was against the Vancouver Canucks. Is Vancouver
different types of teams? 100%. Yeah. I agree with you on that, Tommy.
Is Vancouver a speedier team than Dallas? I mean, I think you could make the case that Dallas is older. They are bigger and stronger. I know that they have a couple of younger guys in Stankoven and Wyatt Johnson who can kind of burn a little bit and are quick. But, is Jamie Benn fast? Not really. Is Matt Duchene as fast as he used to be? Probably not. Is Tyler Seguin anywhere near as quick as he used to be? No. Rope Hintz is super fast. Now that's a guy you have to watch out for, but is he going to be ready to go for Game 1? We shall see.
RCN is in and says, I think Perry is in for Game 1. The lines today, Tommy, were basically the same Henrique in Kane spot, right? Outside of that, it was the same as how the other series ended?
Yeah, pretty much. Kane did not skate. That's another thing, but
that doesn't surprise us at this point.
Yeah,
right?
He hasn't been taking practices, but everybody else was out there. And they also mixed in some black aces, too, which was interesting. I was like, is that Phil Kemp on the ice? And yes, it was.
Wow, Phil Kemp sighting. How about that, eh?
I know. All right.
All right, your reaction to 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. It is Nielsen and Gazzola with you. And, of course, the Oil Stream is brought to you by our great partners over at Boston Pizza. Check out their playoff menu in-store, in the lounge, in the restaurants, ordered in. It's a nice lineup that they put together for the postseason. Fuel your fandom at any of the Boston Pizza locations, and there are a lot of them. Coach Mike texts in and says, I'm not taking the bottom 6. I guess he said, I'm not asking the bottom 6, especially Fogle and McLeod, to get a point per game moving forward. The Oilers need 8 more wins. Just asking Fogle and McLeod to be a factor in 2 of them, maybe 3. So, we had this discussion with Noodles today. Like, you may not allow a lot of goals against, which is a positive, clearly. Yeah. It may be a part of an awesome penalty kill. But at some point, you'd like that third line, especially, and they're going to have tough matchups against the Dallas Stars. And we'll go through, we'll do our whole series positional preview here on this, on the Oil Stream today. But, at some point, you'd like to see them contribute a little bit, right, Tommy?
Absolutely. I'd like to see every line contribute, to be honest. And I think every line's capable, but roles change, situations in postseasons and scenarios develop as series progress and the teams play the cat and mouse game, that, guys that can score end up playing more of a checking role or, have a certain assignment given to them and an expectation that comes from that. So it doesn't open up as many offensive opportunities. Or there's times where, even a bottom 6 situation also pops up where all of a sudden you've somehow found a mismatch and you do get some unexpected offense. That's the beauty of the postseason. But any line scoring. They're all capable of doing it. I would like to see the third line specifically get on the board for the Oilers. That leads to a healthy playoff run. If this team wants to win a Stanley Cup, they're going to need some offense. It has to start with not giving up a lot against, obviously, and then chipping in every now and then with some offense goes a long way. Like Janmark, that one game was a game 5, scoring from the assist from Brown. That'd be fantastic. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
And tell Zach to come to stop texting me during the show.
Why is Zach to come texting you right now?
Stop texting me.
Why is he texting you?
Yeah.
What's he texting you about?
I don't know. I'm trying to focus.
Is it rink report stuff or what's he doing?
Yes.
Okay.
It's up. I put up the rink report.
All right, Zach, to come, it's up. Leave Tommy alone. He's focused on the show.
Please. Thank you.
Holy smokes. The guy has one whistle dog and his whole life changes, this guy.
I'm surprised he didn't eat the rest of that box of whistle dog.
I'm a little stunned too because he's like, man, that was so good. I could have another one. And I said, well, have one, man. Like, there's like 4 more sitting over there. And he's like, well, I'm kind of full right now. So, I mean, he's going to definitely hop back into those at some point, I would think.
Did he have a chicken parm sandwich?
No, we're not sharing the chicken parm sandwiches. Like, come on. There's enough for the 3 of us that were on the show this morning. So, yeah, not going to happen there. All right, 780-218-9999. Pat in the county says, so is Kemp getting in? He had a good training camp. He's not getting in. Yeah. We don't need people being like, Gazzola says Kemp's going to play in. Right? That's not happening. He was just on the ice.
Black ices on the ice. That's all that happened. Yeah.
All right. Mike, outside of Edmonton, says, guys, if you're supposed to play with your balls on your chest, how is 71 still in the lineup? How has Perry not had a dad talk with him yet at this point?
How do we know he hasn't had a dad talk with him?
Yeah, maybe he did. Right? I mean, somebody would have, I think, at some point.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think where it comes down to Ryan McLeod is they value his speed, generally his puck handling ability, and I think PK wise. So that's kind of what's kept him in. But you need offense. He's capable of it. What do you have? Like 30 points this season. He had his best year ever, I think. And at some point it has to click. And this is a guy that has been through the rigors of the postseason in the last few years. He shouldn't be shying away from playoff hockey. But yeah, like when he's engaged and he gets involved, however slightly, generally he's playing better. But physically, he's been dormant, let's call it.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of the puck, a few mistakes that have been absolutely costly. Look no further than Game 7, where it kind of led to the Canucks charge at the end there.
Propane Pimp slides in and says, contributions doesn't need to be scoring. If a McLeod line neutralizes the Rupe Hintz line, that is a contribution. So
that'd be a huge win if
McLeod
knocked out Rupe Hintz's offensive abilities, because Rupe Hintz has sliced and diced the Oilers. I mean, how many times did we see Rupe Hintz cut through the Oilers D? Like a hot knife through butter.
And then
butter. Score.
Yeah, he's a good player, man. He's a
great.
very good player. So, Eden texts in and says, afternoon, boys. I wouldn't be surprised if Perry starts Game 1, but I don't see him sticking around unless he raises his game. The third line really wasn't playable in that Vancouver series until Perry came out. He just couldn't get to any pucks on the forecheck or make plays. He's no Draisaitl who can produce on one leg. So, I still think Corey Perry does factor in here at some point.
Yeah.
But I don't think there'd be a rush for me to get him into the lineup to start the series. At least Rip City Step over on the Nasty Chat. If you're watching on YouTube right now, hammer the thumbs up for us. Give us a sub here on Edmonton Sports Talk as well. Rip City Step, actually right above Rip City Step. Hockey Girl says, hair is looking solid, Tommy. Hello.
Oh, thank you, Hockey Girl.
Hey, Hockey Girl. What about me? What about me, Hockey Girl? Eh? This is the old.
You're a neat boy. You've been up since 4 a.m.
Yeah, but I'm like one hairstyle away from a full-blown Lloyd Christmas right now. So it's Anyway, Rip City Step says McLeod does what the coaches want. I'm pretty sure they just want him to stay on the right side of the puck rather than get stuck tied up. Fogle and Perry both struggled in that Canucks series as well. VR Montenegro says 71 doesn't need to score. He just doesn't need to screw up, which of course he did screw up in that last game. But I mean, I just don't understand. I'm sorry, fourth line. I got time for the fourth line being the line that gets off the ice, and as long as they don't get scored on, it's a victory. I don't got time for that on a third line. Like, what are we expecting from a third? Like, the third line is just supposed to never score, but just don't get scored against, and that's enough? You think the Dallas Stars are saying the same thing about their third line? No chance in hell. Like, you need them to do something, man. They have to do something. Yeah. My goodness.
We're waiting for them to do something, so get your ass in gear. That's why. A chance to reload. And, again, different circumstance against a different type of team in the Dallas Stars is obviously a tremendous team. And the way that Edmonton will play them will likely be a little bit different than how they played the Canucks, how they played the Kings, certainly. And maybe that opens things up for certain guys. I think that, that scenario could play out where we see an unsung hero rise. Could it be a Corey Perry? Sure. I don't. How likely is it? Probably not, but we're still waiting for him to have that one playoff moment. Does Ryan McLeod start to play like a big boy? Again, doubts, but could he? Sure. Could he come up clutch? Does Warren Foegele check in and say, hello, I'm still here too? That would be lovely. Yeah. I mean, he's a 21 goal scorer this year. So
I do expect more offensive production out of Foegele than I do out of McLeod. I mean, that's just simple math from the season. I am on the two hoots today. I decided to have a two hoots here after Lock Shop. This stuff is so good. I mean, I know they're the presenting sponsor of the Hangout right now. They're not technically on the Oil Stream, but like around here, around these offices, we got 3 beverages. We got the 6 o'clocker lager. I mean, we got a ton of other beers that Sobeys has brought left. We got a ton of booze here, but we got the 6 o'clocker lager. We got the Birdie booze, and we got the two hoots. I mean, it's just it's that, and this is the fastest selling like hard tea in the country right now. So this stuff is delicious. This stuff is trouble. Like,
yeah, it is trouble. It goes down very easy.
It just tastes like iced tea. Like there's nothing to it. It's awesome.
Yeah. If people wonder why we're always in such a good mood, we have a ton of alcohol there.
I mean, think about this. Somebody tells you like 10 years ago, you can go work with all your buddies, not really have a boss, and there's booze whenever you want it, and all you do is talk sports. I mean, it's a pretty fun place to work, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think that's a pretty good setup.
Hockey girl over there, after I asked about my hair, she says hot AF. So hot AF. Which I will take. I will take.
Nicely done.
Yeah. Penner's Pancake says 19 on that line could change that. You leave the top 6 alone and mix 19 into the bottom 2 lines to get the going. Yeah, we did talk about if/when Henrique comes back, where does he end up in the line? We talked about who comes out. We didn't really talk about where he would be utilized. Top 6 is untouchable, I think, at this point. You have to leave Dylan Holloway up there. I think you have to really like what you got with those 2 lines.
Yeah.
Does Henrique play with McLeod and Foegele? And then Derek Ryan bumps down, and whoever comes out from that line? Is that what it would be? Henrique and move Foegele, let Foegele play right side, Henrique play left side? Yeah, well, actually, you know what I would like? Put Henrique in the middle, play McLeod on the left side, put Foegele on the right side. McLeod, there's no denying it. He looks better as a winger than he does as a center so far this season.
I was going to say that, but great minds think alike, and you beat me to it. Well done, Dusty Nielson. That would be the logical way to do it. And no disrespect to Derek Ryan. I think he's filled in admirably in the last couple games on the right side on the third line. But Adam Henrique's a more impactful player. There are intangibles that Ryan McLeod possesses and teases you with that would put him ahead of Derek Ryan. And maybe you take the burden away from playing center from Ryan McLeod, and you hope that Henrique and his health stays, adequately, and then you could put him at center and let McLeod fly up and down the wing and not have to worry about as much of the defensive responsibility as he would playing center.
That would probably make the most sense. We'll see how it goes. Jay Siggy Rocker says, yeah, McLeod is better on the wing. So if Henrique is your third line center, I think that would end up being huge. Jasmine texted in and says, guys, is there going to be a watch party on Saturday? No watch party Saturday. Tommy will be at Hudson's on Bourbon Street for Thursday for game 1.
Correct.
And then Hudson's on White for game 3 on Monday, correct?
Yes.
All right. So
that is correct.
That would be the plan. That would be the plan. If you want to get out and join, I'm sure there'll be other members of the EST crew sort of filtering in and out of there as well. Bourbon Street, West Edmonton Mall, Hudson's on Thursday tomorrow for game 1. Tommy will be there for pre and post. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999 is where you can chime in. If you're listening on TuneIn, iHeart, or on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, please tell your friends how easy it is to consume the EST content. And if you're watching over on YouTube, just hammer the thumbs up for us. And if you're not yet subbed to the channel, we would love that. Pushing up towards 8,500 subs here in the postseason, which would be great. Portions of the oil stream brought to you by Popeyes. Things just continue to get better at Popeyes with the new crispy chicken buffalo wrap now being available. 2 classic hand-battered and breaded mild chicken tenders with bold buffalo sauce paired with fresh lettuce, tomato, mild or spicy mayo wrapped in a soft flour tortilla. In-store or available via delivery. Pair it with a buffalo poutine as well, and really take your life to the next level. I think that's a nice way to go about it. All right, Tommy. Anything else from the skate today? I mean, Henrique was obviously the big one, but nothing else really. Pretty basic outside of that.
No, pretty straightforward. Again, like 15, 20 minutes, and they were off. There was a thing where the guys did stay on quite a bit longer, like working on little things here and there. Up to like 20, 25 minutes, staying out late, and I think that's a good sign. Because, there was an illness and a bug running through the team, and that seems to be
a little bit of extra
kind of working its way out. Yeah, so the day of rest, I feel like, went a long way. And this was a little thing because a lot of people were texting in, even on the post-game show the other night, asking, are they going to fly right to Dallas? What are they doing? And they flew home, probably got home, I would assume, around 1 o'clock.
Got a day with the family?
Day with the family. You got to sleep in your own bed. You got to have the extra night's rest in your own bed last night. And then today, a 10 a.m. practice, probably a couple of quick meetings beforehand. And then they're off to the airport, flying to Dallas. They'll have a nice meal. Everybody will get settled in. They have a big availability tonight when they land. I believe it's 6:30 Central Time. So 4:30 our time. You're going to see both teams at the podiums and stuff. So I'll just give you a sample of what I mean by that. So we got the heads up today from the PR team of Andrew Peard and Jamie Carmel. And they said, Peardsy's great, man. He's doing awesome work since he got the bump up from the Oil Kings. And he's been a great help to Jamie Carmel, and they've been knocking it out of the park. And special shout out to Kate Doyle, one of the best in the league. So we couldn't ask for McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman, Skinner, Bouchard, or Ekholm because they will be holding the big
series avail
tonight. So you're gonna see more content tonight.
So you hear from those guys tonight when they get to, and it's like NHL sort of run, and yeah.
And the Stars will be doing the same thing. I think they're actually doing it at the hotel, and I think from what I read, the Stars are going to the hotel to do it. So that's kind of a big deal because it takes them out of their rhythm and stuff.
All this means is that the Dallas Stars know what rooms the Oilers will be in, and they can ring the alarms at the hotel and screw them over before game one.
Didn't it happen in Boston for the Florida Panthers? I think it did.
Boston.
Mind games.
Greasy, right? Just greasy.
Yeah, very greasy. Didn't work.
Okay, we'll get to our series positional breakdowns here. We had Greg Wyshynski on from ESPN today, and one of the things we brought up with Wish was, we saw that series against the Canucks. All the experts were on the Oilers. So I asked him, I said, what's the deal right now with ESPN staffer predictions for the Oilers and Stars? And Wyshynski had the Oilers to win the Cup. So he's got them obviously to win this series. He said he made a good case today for the Oilers to win this series. People I love that. For a decade, people were like, Greg Wyshynski hates the Oilers. And now he picked them to win the Cup last year, then doubled down on them in this year, and is one of the few guys nationally that are making a case for them to win the series right now. But he said 16 of the 21 ESPN reporters and analysts have picked Dallas to win this series. 5 have picked the Oilers to win this series. One of them is Mark Messier, which is almost like a default pick. And then Greg Wyshynski and 3 others, I guess. Tommy, before we get into the positional breakdowns here, what is the path to victory, do you think, for the Oil in this series? What type of series does it have to be for Edmonton? And I think it should be more like that other series where he said half of them took the Rangers and half of them took the Panthers. I think that's how this series should be viewed as well. Maybe it's a Homer Edmonton take. Maybe after game one, I'm going to be like, holy smokes, I was way off thinking the Oilers had a chance in this thing. I just don't think I am. So what do you think the path is to a victory here for the Oilers?
It'll start by being a long one. It's not going to. The series is not going to be short by any means, and if it is, I'll be utterly surprised. Yes, Dallas did win the season series. Edmonton has played Dallas much better in recent years. That is worth noting. I think with Dallas playing against the Avs and the Golden Knights, knocking off the two previous Stanley Cup champions, that has given them a lot of recency bias and clout, deservedly so. And the way they've done it has been impressive. Edmonton beat a pretty damn good Vancouver team. They beat an all-right LA team. So I think, the route in which the Oilers get to the Stanley Cup final, it's going to be a turbulent one, regardless. And I think it's going to be one that's going to be like dotted with landmines, and they're going to have to change their game on the fly. And I think the team that adjusts in series the quickest and the smartest will win this series, because I think there's a lot of things that the Oilers can throw at Dallas that Dallas is going to have to do the same. And then the other thing too, I think it is going to come back to goaltending. And yes, Jake Ottinger is a better goalie than Stuart Skinner, but if Edmonton protects the house well,
they have to
for a good chunk of that series against Vancouver, and Stuart Skinner is shaking off whatever garbage play and inability to make that one save dogged him in that second round, then Edmonton should be okay and gives itself a chance. I honestly think it's anybody's series. Do I think Edmonton wins it? I don't know. I'm not saying Dallas is going to win it. I think this is going to be a long one. It's going to be a toss-up.
780-218-9999. That is the text line here on the Oil Stream, 780-218-9999. You can also hit us up in the nasty chat as well. Library Pat says, guys, 6:30 Central will be 5:30 here. No, the games here it's 6:30, 6:30 for our start times locally here, Pat. So that's how that would be. Let's see here. Well, we'll get to a couple. I think
unless Pat's talking about the availability tonight.
Maybe you're talking about availability. So that would be 5:30 here then, 6:30 Dallas.
They're putting. Oh, they bumped it back to 6:45. It looks like.
All right, so 15 minutes later. Chris says, finally, the Oilers have some chemistry on their second line. They've been missing that all season. I would agree. I think this is, it's a weird time to have it happen. Like, how did that work out? But this is the best this is the best I think their top six has looked. And that has a lot to do with Dylan Holloway this season. I really like where their top six is at right now, which is important. So, I mean, the path to victory for me on the Oilers is I'm not expecting Stuart Skinner to out-goaltend Ottinger in this series. Could it happen? I mean, with the Oilers' firepower up front, could they get to Ottinger a little bit? Maybe. But I'd put Skinner out playing Ottinger in this series at like 15 to 20% chance. So that's not the path to victory. We'll get to that more when we break down the goaltenders. But to me, the special teams, and it's always interesting on how this series will end up being called, but the Dallas penalty kill, and I know you've got the numbers because you're getting ready for the pregame tomorrow. It's at 69% so far in the playoffs. And you can sit there and go, wow, they have to play against Vegas and Colorado's power play. Well, that's great because the Oilers' power play is just as good, if not better, than both of those power plays. So if Dallas' penalty kill couldn't handle the Vegas and the Colorado power plays, why all of a sudden should we expect them to shut down the Oilers' power play? I don't care if the penalty kill's labeled as aggressive or not. I mean, the other two teams they played against lit them up on the power play so far. So the Edmonton Oilers roll into this series with a power play that should be able to do well and a penalty kill that has been damn near perfect so far, over 91%. Yeah. So I think the Oilers' most likely path to victory is to dominate special teams in this series, and I think they're capable of doing that. So I don't think it's tough to make a case for the Oilers to win this series, as you'll find as we break down some of the head-to-heads in this as well. But 780-218-9999, or hit us up on the nasty chat here as well. So V-Power's in it, says, guys, Vancouver versus Dallas this year was 1-1-1, if that means anything. V-Power, I don't think it does, because, the Oilers were 0-4 against Vancouver and saw what happened. Yes. So I loved it. Noted. Somebody texted in, or it was on maybe your post game. Somebody, or maybe it was even Twitter, but somebody's like, "Oh yeah, Oilers go 4-7 against the Canucks this year. Congratulations!" I'm like, "You idiots! Like, just stop being idiots! Like, I got no time for idiots. Drives me nuts.
Oh my God.
Drives me nuts.
That's too funny.
Yeah. Before we get into our positional breakdowns here, let's go to Coolbet. And if you've not yet signed up for an account, you go to coolbet.com and enter the code LOCKSHOP when you do, and you'll get a 100% deposit bonus on your initial deposit up to $200. I put together this little parlay just for the series. This is a series parlay. This is not for game one. It's a series parlay. Opened at 12-1. It's now at plus 1050, which is just over 10-1. McDavid and Draisaitl over 8.5 points each in this series. If it's a long series, I love that number.
Yeah.
Ryan Nugent-Hopkins over 5.5 points in this series. Hyman over 2.5 goals. Bouchard over 1.5 goals. And the Oilers to win the Western Conference Final plus 1050. Tommy, if their power play's going and it's a long series, this thing cashes. No doubt in my mind.
That's huge.
It's a big one, isn't it?
I like a lot of that to happen. And the key will be Edmonton to win the series. That's where I think it'll come down to. All the others.
You like the points, don't you? Yeah.
Individuals, the points and stuff, I think that's going to hit on the over for sure. It's just that win, and it could happen. It was interesting on the Rink Report with Brett Kulak today. It is posted.
It's posted on our YouTube video page right now. Yep.
Yeah, check it out. He was great. He's very well spoken, but he was pretty open and honest about things. And he kind of slid in I like our chances. And he said it in like a confident way. And he made some comparisons to the team 2 years ago that went to the conference final and how they didn't really have a lot of answers. But now he feels like they have a different team that has that experience from a couple of years ago, the disappointment of last year. And, and he gave all the respect in the world to the Dallas Stars. And you can sense it when you watch him talk. But, he's like, I like our chances. And I'm like, okay, well, that's good. And you're not
a good, quiet confidence.
Yeah, and he's not someone who throws up bulletin board material. And it's not like anyone's looking at Brett Kulak going, well, Brett Kulak said he likes his chances against the Dallas. He's not that type of guy. But the fact that a guy like that's saying it and has, lived up to it with strong play, I think that's kind of telling.
Nielson and Gazzola with you here on the Oil Stream, presented by Boston Pizza. Fuel your fandom with the playoff menu at Boston Pizza. 780-218-9999. 780-218-9999 is where you can get in to the inbox today. All right, Tommy, let's start to break this thing down. Let's start between the pipes. Goaltending in this series, and we did the same thing in the last series against the Vancouver Canucks, and the Edmonton Oilers did end up coming out with an edge in our head-to-head matchups. It'd be interesting to see how this goes. I mean, I am more than comfortable giving the check mark in between the pipes to Jake Ottinger here. I don't even know if there's too much of a discussion on this one.
No, Jake Ottinger wins this hands down. Nothing more to be said. He's been great.
I mean, I really hope that I'm wrong on this, but I do see a world in this matchup where we're sitting here breaking down the series at the end of it, and we're like, Skinner maybe not necessarily cost them the series, but was the biggest weak point in the series for the Oilers. So, I mean, that's not even a hot take considering what we've seen so far in the playoffs. So,
okay,
I think the Oilers can get to Ottinger for a few games too. I do.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Absolutely. I think they can. And I think, they have at times, and he has been beaten in the postseason, obviously. But with Skinner, like his body of work in the playoffs is I think we could say so. Good first round, not so great second round, cleaned it up a bit. Respect is due for him to come back strong in those last two games. But the first three, you needed that one extra save. And I will reiterate, Artur Shilov's numbers weren't that good.
Yeah.
They were not good. Sub 900, a save percentage, goals against average around 3.5. But in crucial moments, especially when Vancouver ended up taking the series lead a couple of times, Shilov's made that save. Skinner did.
Yeah, like his numbers weren't that good. They still went 7, because he made some of those big saves along the way, right? So it's going to be required. Skinner's going to have to make some of those saves that Shilov's made if they're going to win this series. So
absolutely,
we'll see how that sorts out. But the check mark definitely goes on the goaltending to the Dallas Stars. What about on the back end here, Tommy? This is an interesting one for me.
Heiskanen's probably the best defenseman.
He's the best. I would agree with that. Nothing. I mean, Bouchard's been phenomenal so far, but Heiskanen leads Dallas in scoring right now, and he's playing like 27 minutes a night. Like,
yeah. So that's a huge boon. A healthy Ekholm, Bouchard that's playing very, very well. That goes a long way as well. Dallas's back end, like Suter, I'm not.
Their third pair very much worries me. Like this is a not worries me. I'm like, if I'm Dallas, I'm worried about the third pair. Like Suter and Petrovic, depending on what is the latest on Hakanpää? Do we know what his deal is? He's listed his date today.
I haven't seen, and they're probably not going to tell us anything. By the way, Thomas Harley is a tremendous young defenseman. He had a very good year, offensively gifted. He's playing with Heiskanen. I think that's a guy. I mean, if you can get to Harley physically, because he's not that big from what I recall, that might be something that you key in on. Tanev's is just a warrior, obviously. I think he had a tooth go through his lip the other day, which is awful.
God, that's tough. I love it.
Whatever few teeth he has left, it went through his lip. Lindell's just solid. Yeah, Suter and Petch, like, God bless Petch. He's a family friend. My brother grew up with him. He came over for Christmas. I love him, and I was hoping he was going to get the OT winner the other night because he was playing a bunch. But, he's been thrusted into a tough scenario, basically playing in the AHL the last couple of years.
And the last 5 years. Now, like, he's been in the AHL, like, almost exclusively the last 5 years. It's since 2019, actually, since he was with the Oilers. He's played 2 NHL games. 2 NHL games. One in the regular season with Dallas this year, and then the playoff game. So he's only played 2 games in the last 5 years in the NHL.
Yeah. And that's a big ask.
Petch, so. It is. I mean, that's a lot for him to handle. I think I'm almost leaning towards Saw-Off, to be honest with you, on the 2 blue lines. Like, with Nurse.
I would give Edmonton the edge.
Yeah, we give them a little bit of an edge. It would be a close edge, I think.
I will give them the edge.
I mean, I do like Heiskanen. I think the Tanev-Lindell pair is really good as well.
Same. But how good has Desharnais been?
Well, Desharnais been a very pleasant surprise so far. And
how solid has Kulak been?
They've been great. Ceci was even awesome last game. Like,
Nurse quieted things down.
Well, what they did was they separated Nurse and Ceci and put together 2 pairs that were better than Nurse and Ceci. Like, Desharnais and Nurse is better than Nurse and Ceci. And at that point, you're like, whoa, what are the other one? But Kulak and Ceci is better than Nurse and Ceci. So
Kulak is a playoff performer, man.
Yeah.
I might give the slight edge to Edmonton, and that is giving.
So you want to go slight edge. Slight edge.
Slight edge.
All right, slight edge. Slight edge, Oilers blue line with the way Bouchard's playing right now. So goaltending, Dallas. Blue lines, slight edge. Slight edge to the Oilers. Forwards is a very interesting discussion because you've got the Oilers with McDavid and Draisaitl center your top 2 lines. And then you've got the Dallas Stars, and let me see, when was this updated? This was updated yesterday afternoon. So Wyatt Johnston, Stankoven, and Robertson, Duchesne, Pavelski, and Marchment, Sagan, Ben, and Dadonov, and then Steele, Faxa, and Craig Smith. You look at the bottom 6 of the Dallas Stars. Like, I almost feel like Dallas has like 3 number 2 lines and a third line. You know, the Oilers, with the way the McLeod line's played so far, production wise, the Oilers have like 2 number 1s and 2 number 4s. So that's
a good point.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I don't know. How do you weigh an extreme amount of depth and some guys who have talent? I mean, if Rupe Hintz, it's a good forward group. So how do you weigh that over, regardless of what you think of them right now, it's still a top heavy forward group on the Edmonton Oilers. So how do you work that? How do you separate that? How do you break that down?
I like waves of offense. I like balance. Dallas has the advantage there. Simple
enough.
Right now, I think they have just really good NHL players, regardless of their 3 second lines and 1 third line. I think that's better than 2 first lines and 2 fourth lines. I like this lineup of forwards. And I think a lot of guys on this 12-man unit can rise to the occasion in key moments. Simple as that. They've got 2 guys that Wyatt Johnston is brilliant to watch.
Oh, yeah. He's so fun, isn't he? Like
fun. The puck is on his stick, and you're like, oh, he's going to do something, and generally he does. Mason Marchment is a good player that could come up and bite you at any moment. Duchesne, a longtime player, great player in this league. Pavelski, there's an old guy that doesn't seem to slow down at all, even though he's not particularly fast, but he's always effective. And even Ben and Sagan, man, Dodonov, like these are guys that have been there and done that. And then Sam Steele all of a sudden has become like a defensive guru. And Craig Smith has been around forever. Radek Faksa is one of the few guys Dallas has drafted and developed, and he's just been a good third, fourth line guy for a while for them. This is a really deep forward unit. I'd give the edge to the Dallas Stars.
I think I would agree with you, but I'd also put it at slight edge. I do think the McDavids and Draisaitl's give the Oilers. I mean, they're two superstars. The Stars don't have one superstar up front. The Oilers have two. The Stars have a lot of great, great players, but they don't have anybody remotely on the level of McDavid and Draisaitl. So, but that overall depth is, it's going to be an issue. It's going to be tough for them to handle. So if we go slight edge to that depth of the forward group up front. So we've got Dallas with the advantage between the pipes. We've got the blue lines being a slight edge to the Oilers. The forwards being a slight edge to Dallas due to their depth. It's close right now. Where are we at on coaching? Coming out of,
Dallas.
Yeah. Okay.
Easily.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Chris Knobloch, who's done a very, very good job. But Pete DeBoer goes to Stanley Cup finals with every team he coaches.
Yeah, this is more than just like the conference finals. Yeah, this is more than just the Rick Tocchet has the experience edge.
No,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Pete DeBoer is a damn good coach. And Vegas and their philosophy and cutthroat, ripping through like 3 or 4 good coaches in 6 years. And it worked for them, but they got rid of a damn good coach that had a lot of success with the Golden Knights. And then what does Dallas do? They're like, we'll take that guy. Thank you very much. And all he does is lead them to a conference final and now another conference final.
Well, in 4 of his last 6 seasons, he's lost in 4 conference finals to St. Louis, Dallas, Montreal, and then Vegas. And the other 2 years, he was eventually fired. So he's either been fired or lost in a conference final. So lost in the Stanley Cup in 2015-16, lost in the Stanley Cup with New Jersey in 2011 and 12. So has not pushed it over the hump, but damn, he's been close a number of times. So
good coach.
Yeah, I think the advantage. But with that being said, I do, coming out of that Vancouver series, the confidence meter in Knobloch is higher than it was going into the Vancouver series. Is that an unfair statement, or do you think that's accurate? Has your opinion of Knobloch changed since post Kings to post Canucks? It's fine if it hasn't. I don't think it would have gotten worse.
Mine hasn't.
So you just view it the same way still.
What we did get, I think, to me at least, is a test of his character and his mettle. He was put into a couple of jams and he worked his way out of them. It wasn't an easy process, but we saw some gutsiness to Chris Knobloch. For such a reserved, mild-mannered guy, we saw him make some ballsy moves, and they paid off. We also saw him, I think, make a couple of mistakes early on, but he learned from them, so that's a kudos and testament to him. But I feel the same. I think he's an excellent coach. Experience in the league will make him better, but he's riding a hell of a great wave of momentum right now. But I still give the nod to Pete DeBoer, because Pete DeBoer has just been excellent for 15 years in the National Hockey League.
All right, and then that brings us to special teams. And I think the first question I want to, so the Oilers have the best power play in the playoffs. They have the best penalty kill in the playoffs. The check mark here is to the Edmonton Oilers. Exactly. I mean, it's like the Pete DeBoer thing on the other side. So far, we've had the Stars with the advantage between the pipes, slight advantage to the Oilers on the blue line, slight advantage to Dallas up front, definite advantage to the coaching side for the Stars, and then now a definite advantage on the special teams for the Edmonton Oilers. That Dallas penalty kill. I'm just looking at what was the Stars penalty kill in the regular season. 82%. So it was 8th best. So it's got to be better than the 69% that they're rolling right now. But I still think, and we'll see how much of this game is played on special teams or the series, and how much of it's just played 5-on-5 and 4-on-4. But there's really no two ways about it here. The Oilers hold a special teams advantage.
Yeah. I'm curious to see if Edmonton tries a few different things on the power play, because now Dallas has a couple series of game tape to look at the wrinkles that Edmonton's implemented into the power play, and has led to that really, really nice efficiency rating this postseason, which has the Oilers at the top at 37.5%. So I'm curious to see if they do have some tricks up their sleeves, or they change to more of a shoot mentality or something, because I feel like they're going to do something to throw a curveball at the Stars, and we'll see how the response is from Dallas. But this is going to be a fun matchup to watch on the special team side. And then the PK is going to have to be rock solid, because Dallas it just has so many weapons. And I think Dallas will probably try to throw a few wrinkles at the Oilers as well on its power play. This is going to be a hell of a match.
Oh, man.
I keep saying it, but it's going to be awesome.
Well, I think as you look, like, to me, as you look at breaking down this series, as we just did, the way I would look at it and go, these people who are picking Dallas to win it in 5, or, the Canucks fans who are like, sweep for Dallas. I think they just think, well, no, they've gone away.
Okay.
They're back to what they do for the other 50 weeks of every single year ever. I think they must be just looking at it and going, Ottinger is such an advantage over Skinner. That's why the Stars are going to roll this series. Because I think the rest of it, man, is pretty damn close. I do.
Yep. One thing with Ottinger too, like, he needs to be on, which he has been.
Yeah, but he's been off at times too. Like,
and
not in the playoffs
off,
necessarily, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wonder if they can rattle him early and it changes things.
And I know I gave the slight edge to Dallas with the defense, but like a healthy Hakanpää is a step up on Petrovic, obviously. But
no, we gave the slight advantage to the Oilers. Yeah, you're right. Hakanpää would, yeah.
That's why I was considering Petch being in there.
Man, I still, part of me wants to say it's a saw-off up front too. I know Dallas has. Well, I guess to me, it really depends on how Dallas defends against 29 and 97. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, if Dallas can produce but contain those top two guys. But if this just gets into a track meet, which I think there will be games in this series that are a bit of a track meet. We saw what happened with Dallas and Colorado. And it's also, somebody pointed out in the text line a little bit earlier on that, Dallas isn't a team that necessarily locks things down either. So if you fall down by a couple, just open it up and you might be able to claw your way back. So I think we're going to get a very, very entertaining series. And in a series like that, man, I don't mind riding with McDavid and Draisaitl in that type of series. So we'll see what ends up happening in some of these matchups. It's going to be a fascinating matchup series, I think.
I think we're going to see a more effective Zach Hyman, too, because defensively, Vancouver was so tough in the slot, and that nullified Hyman to a certain extent. Some of his best work, obviously, is from in tight. I think this might open things up for Zach Hyman a little bit.
Zach, did you grab Knobloch? Is it?
Yes, I have Chris Knobloch as well as Henrique ready.
And that's from today. You know how long is Knobloch? Maybe we end the episode here with Knobloch.
About 8 minutes.
That's too long. Let's hear a little bit from. Well, you said Henrique.
Yeah.
How long's Henrique?
4.5.
Let's hear. Tommy, you want to hear what Henrique had to say today? Yeah, let's do it. Let's hear it. Here's Adam Henrique from earlier this morning.
The series just doesn't know when yet. It can kind of take us through how that's going to work. How much of it is convincing the coach or the doctor that you're ready, or how does that work?
Just take it day to day. It was great to get out there and practice with the guys. It's painful watching. So we're just we're all on the same page as far as where we're at and how we're going about things, and just again taking it a day at a time.
Did you re-aggravate it?
No, we're just again it's day to day kind of thing, and I think we've been on the same page every day of how we're going about everything, and as far as the coach and the staff and myself. So I think we've made all the right decisions up to this point, and hopefully that continues.
So when you got hurt against LA, were you thinking, oh, it's just a minor thing? back next game, or did it just get worse?
Again, it was just kind of day to day. Take it day at a time and see how things progress. And you're always hopeful that things will progress in the right direction and quickly. And this time of year, you don't have a lot of time, so it's you're kind of fighting that enemy at the same time as the schedule and how everything's feeling.
You had a Game 7 experience your first year. You scored a goal, I scored 2, including the overtime winner. Can you compare, like, you're in the game, and obviously it's intense and nervous, but when you're sitting upstairs, how much worse is it?
It's way worse. I don't do well just sitting there watching, so I'm kind of pacing around and doing things while keeping an eye on everything. And it's it's not a great feeling. It's when you're playing, you're in the game, you're in the moment, and you have control. And when you don't have that control, it's hard to take. You obviously trust the guys, and you try to do everything you can to. You think you're making a difference if you're superstitious doing this and that, but you're just out there watching. So it's that's the toughest part.
So you're a pacer, you mentioned. Now, are you somewhat of a cursor when you're watching the game like that?
No, I'm pretty quiet. It's everybody. It's funny watching with guys and staff and people and see how they react to different things, and you can tell some people are more stressed than others, and it doesn't bode well for me hanging around those people. So try to avoid them and deal with my own insecurities watching.
Is it difficult? This injury it happened to you in the regular season, you can think, it's a long season, I'm out a month or whatever. When the playoffs, the games come so fast, you're thinking, oh man, I got hurt in the playoffs.
Yeah, well, and that's that thing. That this is the time of year that everybody's fighting to play all season long. So it's unfortunate timing, and again, the games are just coming out every other day, and there's not really a break until. Unless you're fortunate between series, if you get through one pretty quick or not, and then it's a quick turnaround. So, time ends up kind of being the enemy.
Adam, you know Dallas quite well. What do you think are going to be the keys in this series? Like a couple of the keys for your team to win.
I think especially the last couple of games, the guys who play the complete game, both sides of the puck, that sort of thing. They're a deep team. They're coached well. I think these series, they always come down to those small details and those little mistakes that can end up costing you. So I think just playing that detailed game and then just playing with confidence like the group has been. So I think that's going to be key for us, and just, playing with that pace that we can play with.
You were in Anaheim when Sam Steele was there.
Yep.
Now he's an ace penalty killer. And did you see that in him when he was in Anaheim, or was he trying to be an offensive player there?
No, he's a great player. He's a great young kid there. Unfortunate. Everybody goes through different, situations with whether it's contract, new staff in and out, who drafted who, and that sort of thing. And he's a great kid, great person, works extremely hard off the ice. And you can see it on the ice too. He works very hard on the ice, good face-off player, he's smart. It's great to see him doing well and finding himself a role in Dallas, and certainly glad things have worked out for him at this point.
There you go. He is close to returning for the Edmonton Oilers, Adam Henrique, which means they'd be a little bit healthier than they were when they got by the Vancouver Canucks. And as far as the illness around the room goes, Tommy, if they continue to get a little bit better there, it could be in a pretty good spot against Dallas for the Edmonton Oilers.
Hey, really quickly on that illness, whatever it was, we were saying maybe strep. I had heard strep, and it sounded like McDavid's voice. When I had strep throat, I had to talk like that too. You try not to overdo it on your throat.
Sorry, Tommy.
Wow.
I messed up.
Now I know how you really feel.
I messed up. That was my bad. Sorry, Zach. Sorry, Tom.
I will end it quickly. It sounds like the illness is starting to work its way out of the locker room. I'll see you later.
See you later, buddy. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream today. I have my little thing on here. I pulled the trigger too early. That's my bad. Anyway, it sounds like they're getting better. Tommy, we'll see you tomorrow, buddy. You have a good afternoon. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream today. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning on the Nielson Show.